Young man, he was in the corridor being yelled at, and he said, "I need a lawyer. I'm a patsy."
Yes.
The guy didn't behave like he was proud of what he had done.
No.
Which is what they said. He was a communist, an assassin.
Oh, there's documents, JFK documents. Anything come out of that?
Did something come out of it? Oh, one thing that come out was they were saying that Lee Harvey Oswald was a Russian asset.
They put together to assassinate Fidel Castro, all these international killers. It's just like the movies.
Murder Incorporated, yeah.
Hey, welcome back. Ever wondered what could actually make Joe Rogan speechless? Turns out it's a wild deep dive into JFK conspiracy theories with 10 guests, each bringing their own crazy take. Some of these got Joe thinking, some had him pushing back hard, and a few, well, they left him completely stunned. Let's jump right in. Robert Kennedy Jr. You know it's about to get serious when Robert Kennedy Jr. is in the building. He didn't hold back when talking about his uncle's assassination, saying flat out that JFK's death wasn't just some random act. It was a hit.
Did that. He refused to go to war. So he was surrounded by military-industrial complex. And
according to him, his uncle's policies made him a massive threat to the military-industrial complex, and the people in power weren't having it. He laid out how JFK was pushing back against secret intelligence agencies, trying to end the Vietnam War and fighting against corruption.
he realized early on that the purpose of the CIA and the intelligence apparatus was to create a constant pipeline of new wars.
All things that might have put a target on his back. Joe just sat there, completely locked in, as Kennedy went deep into the possibility of a government cover-up.
Eisenhower, who was the outgoing president, gave what is probably the most important speech in American history, which was, where he warned against the military-industrial complex.
Eddie Bravo.
They put together to assassinate Fidel Castro, all these international killers. It's just like the movies.
Murder Incorporated, yeah.
Oh, you already know Eddie Bravo went full conspiracy mode on this one. He threw out every theory you've ever heard and probably a few you haven't. CIA involvement? Check. Multiple shooters? Check. A deep state plot? Check.
Operation 40. Yeah, exactly. All these snipers and killers.
He was on a roll, breaking down the Zapruder film frame by frame and questioning why so much evidence went missing over the years. Joe, as usual, tried to keep Eddie from going too far off the rails, but you could tell even he was intrigued.
That they felt
A
maybe
stooge?
was they set him up.
Is he still alive?
No, he got shot by Jack Ruby like a couple days after he shot Kennedy.
This was classic Eddie. No filter, full passion, and absolutely convinced that the official story is complete BS. Oliver Stone.
Young man, he was in the corridor being yelled at, and he said, "I need a lawyer. I'm a patsy."
Yes.
The guy didn't behave like he was proud of what he had done.
No.
Which is what they said. He was a communist, an assassin.
When Oliver Stone talks about JFK, you listen. He's been on this case for decades. His movie JFK literally changed how people viewed the assassination. And on Rogan's podcast, he came with receipts. He pointed to conflicting witness testimonies, forensic evidence that doesn't add up, and straight-up missing files that should have been released by now.
So you have to think that...
Plus, they have the best autopsy people in the world, civilian, all around Washington. Why wouldn't they call them in? No.
Right.
He believes intelligence agencies, especially the CIA, weren't just involved, but actively worked to bury the truth. Joe was fascinated, asking question after question, trying to wrap his head around how so many details don't line up. Mike Baker. Now here's where it gets interesting. Mike Baker, former CIA, came on to talk about the other side of the story.
Doesn't necessarily actually match once you get into the body of the story, but the idea being that the agency had some concerns over Cuba was behind.
He wasn't saying the official report was totally accurate, but he also wasn't ready to say the CIA took out a sitting president. Instead, he talked about how Cold War tensions and behind the scenes.
You got to keep an open mind about all these things, and I think it's important. Right now, people are going, "Oh, well, I'm sure that agency, the CIA, was involved, so I'm a terrible source of information." I've heard that before.
Agency politics might have played a role in what happened after the assassination.
Because if you start building ideas and investigative inquiries on something that's not sturdy underneath it, not based on evidence and fact.
Why certain files were hidden, why certain people were silenced, and why the full truth might never come out. Joe pressed him on whether we'll ever get a real answer, and Baker's response? Maybe. But don't hold your breath. Brian Redban. And then,
Well, there's documents, JFK documents. Anything come out of that?
Did something come out of
that?
it? Oh, one thing that come out was they were saying that Lee Harvey Oswald was a Russian asset.
Brian Redband took things to another level. Instead of just sticking to JFK, he started talking about how recently declassified files might reveal way more than just assassination details. He threw out wild theories, government mind control, UFO programs, and secret experiments that tie into why certain files are still redacted. Joe wasn't buying all of it, but you could tell even he was intrigued by some of the weird coincidences Brian brought up.
How will they ever find out? If they're able to keep shit from us, how will they ever find out? Even though there's been laws passed and, rulings.
T.J. English.
Because the alliance between the CIA and the Cubans, Watergate burglary, 5 out of 7 of the burglars were Cubans, Bay of Pigs veterans.
Really?
They had been recruited by a guy named E. Howard Hunt.
T.J. English came in with a different take. Cuba. He argued that JFK's assassination wasn't just a domestic conspiracy, but might have involved Cuban exiles, Castro's government, or even U.S. forces working behind the scenes. The Cold War was in full swing, and tensions with Cuba were at an all-time high. According to English, there were a lot of people with motives to take Kennedy out.
Go do this assassination, and then we go get Fidel. And the Cubans were always ready and willing.
Because it was all leading back to getting Fidel.
It was all leading back to getting
Did you ever...
Joe wasn't sure what to think, but the idea that foreign intelligence could have played a role definitely made him stop and think. Mick West. Now for the skeptic. Mick West came in with one goal: to debunk the conspiracy theories.
With the fact that the bullet came out fairly pristine, which means it didn't actually go through a kind of a bouncy path like that.
Right.
It went through a straight path. This diagram is from a
conspiracy theorist book.
Essentially.
Yes.
He focused on the single bullet theory. The one that says one bullet hit both JFK and Governor Connolly in just the right way. Mick argued that it's not impossible, just misunderstood. Joe wasn't having it, though. He pushed back, asking if this theory just conveniently supports the lone gunman story.
Yeah, but some people have done it, and they have found pretty close to what actually happened.
No, they didn't.
Within the round.
No. Every bullet that hit bone got distorted. That's just what happens.
The debate went back and forth, with both guys holding their ground. In the end, no minds were changed, but it was one of those classic Rogan debates that make you question everything. Tony Hinchcliffe. Tony and Joe took a different angle on JFK's assassination. Instead of debating bullets and shooters, they went deep into one of JFK's famous speeches, his warning about secret societies.
That Lee Harvey Oswald isn't there.
I think he may have even been there. I think he may have even been firing, but I don't believe that he was the only one.
I'm with you.
Tony, being Tony, threw in a bunch of dark jokes. But underneath it all, he was actually pretty interested in what JFK was really trying to say. Was he warning about shadowy elites running the world? Was he talking about intelligence agencies having too much power? Joe and Tony bounced ideas back and forth, turning a serious discussion into something weirdly fun, but still kind of unsettling. Michael Shermer.
Do you think that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone?
Yeah.
Do you
for
really?
Sure. Yeah,
what makes
absolutely.
you think that?
All of the evidence, and none of the evidence against anybody else.
Michael Shermer, the ultimate skeptic, was not buying any of the conspiracy theories. He broke down why the lone gunman theory makes the most sense, why the magic bullet theory isn't as crazy as people think, and why he believes Oswald acted alone. Joe pushed back, questioning the logic behind key evidence, but Shermer wasn't budging. He came prepared with historical records, expert analysis, and a deep belief that people just want to see a conspiracy where there isn't one.
Gunshots that happen in a short amount of time. The fact that the reason why they came up with the theory of the magic bullet in the first place, because they had to account for a bullet that hit a curb underneath the overpass.
The debate got heated, but it was definitely one of the most interesting back and forths of the entire deep dive. Donald Trump. And finally, Trump. Yep, Joe sat down with former President Donald Trump to talk JFK. Trump admitted that while in office, he held back some JFK files for national security reasons. But now, he says he wants full transparency and believes the files should be released. Will it happen? Who knows? But the fact that even a former president is saying there's still stuff we don't know, that says a lot. And that's a wrap. What do you guys think? Was it a lone gunman, a massive government cover-up, or something even crazier? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and while you're here, check out one of these videos on your screen. See you next time.